Gaston is a ex-army captain. He saved the village from the Portuguese marauders about 12 years prior to this story happening. And he sort of lived off that accolade ever since. It's a little boring for most people to hear him tell these stories, which he retells every Friday night in the local pub, the local tavern, and they have to entertain him. He's a larger-than-life character, slightly, when I say slightly, I mean grotesquely self-absorbed, and thinks he's God's gift to women, to basically everything. He's just, everyone's lucky to have him. Tim, Howard, and Alan are they're genius storytellers. To be able to tell a story through music is a wonderful ability, and when it's done right, it can move you in such a way that you can make you cry, make you laugh, make you hold your breath. It triggers a lot of emotions. I come from musical theatre. That's how I began my career, and so I feel very passionate about telling a story with music and lyrics, and what these three geniuses did back in 1991 was tell a story which was very, very old and bring it to the imagination of families and young children, but appeal to the whole mass audience. You know, everyone can appreciate and enjoy the lyrics. I mean, ever since I've told people that I play Gaston, they, without any prompting, will come out with lines from the song Gaston, which is an extraordinary thing. It has left its lasting memory. These one lines, like, I use antlers in all of my decorating. The amount of times I've heard people come up with that line, and I didn't even remember that line. So it's magic. It was magic, and it still is magic, and it's left a massive impact on many generations. And luckily, we have this new retelling, which will leave a lasting memory in a new generation. As self-absorbed as he is and annoying as he is, he's quite funny in his own little way. You know, he doesn't see the world like everybody else sees it. He's at the top of the pyramid, and everybody else is below, and he can do no wrong, and he doesn't understand why Belle cannot be his wife. I mean, is she mad? Is she blind? Is she stupid? He doesn't get it, you know. And that's quite funny in itself, and so I've got to play the comedy aspect, which has been fun for me. I haven't done a lot of comedy, and it's been really fun to not only play the comedy of Gaston, but also to be able to bounce off the likes of Josh Gad, who is a very accomplished comedian and a comedy actor, and his timing is just perfect. And so I've been able to absorb that and play off that, and it's been very, very fun to have a sidekick in the film. This is my first musical film, so it was a big learning curve for me, was that everything is timed. There's music playing throughout the scene, so it doesn't matter what you do in that scene, it has to happen on the beat that you've rehearsed. So the amount of rehearsal is extraordinary before we do these big set-piece numbers, and like the Gaston number in the tavern, or like the opening Chaos Bell scene in the Villeneuve Square, you know, with all the flower markets and the bakers and the ducks and the geese and the God knows the animals and all that stuff, and all that had to be rehearsed, and we actually shot it in a rehearsal studio with the ensemble and the people in the scene, purely for Bill to be able to look at a very rough body of structure of how the scene was going to happen. So he knew the camera angles and the shots that he was going to use, so that when we got to the set, we weren't panicking because we weren't in the right place at the right time in the music, or Gaston was on the wrong side of Villeneuve Square when he needed to be here. Everything was rehearsed to absolute perfection, so that when we got to the set, it ran like clockwork.